2,000 families. Hi out there in television land. This is another episode of Pot Talk, and we showed you some of the court cases from the past and gave you a whole bunch of law and stuff. We do a lot of legal research, and I have a friend, Paul, who I've given a lot of my legal research to, and he gave me some new stuff because we're both always looking for new stuff. And we got some great stuff for you tonight. You guys might want to get a pen and paper out there and write down some of this stuff. So here's another episode of Pot Talk. I'm going to let Paula read this first one. This first one's a bit long, but it's quite interesting.
Okay. We're learning a lot more about the details of the money trail, and I'm going to be reading to you tonight about the Uniform Securitization Scheme. Now you may think, what could be more boring? But let me tell you, it's absolutely...
Let me interrupt 1 second. In the last thing that you just saw, we were talking about how they use your birth certificate to make all kinds of money and how they scam you. There's money in your account when you were given a baby and given a birth certificate. That certificate was a certificate of ownership of the United States of America. We all own it, we the people. So America is worth a lot of money. And all that money is in your name in some account that were never told about. So Paul is going to read some stuff. Really pay attention to this because it's about the birth certificate and how the money goes.
And what's so wonderful is that there's groups that have really been kind of polishing and buffering these gems of knowledge, and they're very careful about who they share it with. So I don't know how you feel, but I feel honored that we're getting some of the gleanings of some very deep thinkers. What do you think, Joe?
I agree. Some people have... It took a lot of people, a lot of work, and they took a lot of abuse to get this information that we're given to you. They've had to research it, and a lot of times they had to go into court and lose and then figure out why they lost, try again, maybe lose again, and then figure out. So a lot of this information we're given to you, people really put their ass on the line for. So we hope that you appreciate it.
Right. It just sort of makes a spontaneous gratitude or prayer of thankfulness because people think that, things can't happen. But let me just say, this is from a Reclaim Your Securities, a Yahoo group, to members of the group. And so it's the Uniform Securitization Scheme, which they call the birth scam, the universal boilerplate securities transaction blueprint that governs your commercial life. So Joe wants me to skip the abstract.
Yeah.
But the Uniform Securitization Scheme. Introduction. There was a time when the joyous event of childbirth was recorded in the family Bible to signify the child's status as a member of the family's posterity with implied rights of an heir. To this day, the family Bible remains a lawful record that is recognized in the legal system. In 1933, when most privately held gold was confiscated by the Federal Reserve System under Executive Order 6102, and obligations payable in gold were outlawed under HIR 192, Public Law 72-00, the substance-backed economy was replaced by a financial system based upon credit, IOUs, which is currently failing under the weight of its own nature. That's what we're coming up to today. What is that nature? Like Seinfeld, very simply, nothing. Empty promises to pay backed by fraudulent presumptions of informed consent. It's an economy where the books always add up to zero, where the very nature of bookkeeping had to be altered to disguise the void double-entry bookkeeping, where the notion of a single entry to explain your purchase of a pack of gum was apparently inadequate to hide the theft of your money, where every asset is also entered as an offsetting liability, where the law itself had to be replaced by commercial hypocrisy, where the sum total of all activity in every government, licensed institution, bank, court, and corporation equals 0 each and every day, where transactions which once involved the exchange of goods and services of equal value now involve the exchange of securities of equal value, nothing, as the term value is defined in inferior statutory law. Like Seinfeld, the world suffers not so much an economy as a comedy of errors, perhaps more correctly a comedy of frauds, wherein the concept of value is established by words on the page instead of the perceived value of goods, services, and labor at hand, where top is down, black is white, and timeless immortality is perfectly legal. It is well established that the United States is defined as a corporation in Section 3002 of the Judiciary Code, meaning that the United States judiciary operates under the global presumptions that the United States is a corporation, notwithstanding periodic attempts by learned attorneys at law to treat this fact casually. What is a corporation, in essence? Nothing, a construction of words or pieces of paper, a contrivance without a soul, sentience, or conscience. The question becomes, how does an unconscious paper corporation operating in an economy without substance control the population of living people under the original public trust charter? The answer is self-evident: organized commercial fraud, which applies ancient edifices of commercial sleight of hand, such as legal fictions, certification, registration, and securitization, to achieve outcomes which would otherwise be impossible and certainly repugnant to the founders. Translation: the machines harness the people's commercial energy through a matrix of scripted directives and diversions, wherein fraud, falsehood, and fallacy supplant the law until amnesia has become endemic. That system is known as the legal system, a profit-inspired veneer for the universal system of voodoo accounting, explained in this article. The uniform securitization scheme, which runs invisibly as the operational schematic that underlies all public events, be it birth of a baby, the issuance of currency, economic bailouts, a court case, a purchase, a loan, a mortgage, or a real estate transaction. Without your awareness, virtually every event of your life which involves a public institution has been covertly superimposed on the underlying Uniform Securitization Scheme, USS, revealed in this article, so that the actual events are invisible. The USS is the exact same process used by banks to pledge your credit card and loan application as the surety for certificates and notes issued by their subsidiaries and sold to investors. Patriot mythology has held that these loan applications are actually securities. As will be revealed, in this instance, the legend is true. The evidence is contained in every rule 424B5 prospectus filed by every bank with the SEC. A Bank of America flowchart published in a 2010 SEC prospectus is included in Appendix B to graphically demonstrate the universality of the USS. This chilling roadmap to the uniform securitization scam may help to may be helpful to review as you read about the pledges, certification, redeposit, and various techniques that comprise the USS. To understand the Uniform Securities Scheme is to understand the commercial world around you and the banks, government agencies, and courts that seek to control your life. The author has no objection if a copy of this article is sent to every judge trust on the federal and state benches and every political prisoner in America. The Uniform Securitization Scam, Part 1. The fuel behind the United States federal corporation, the underlying promise behind every transaction in which you have participated, is the presumption that your labor has been voluntarily pledged to pay the debt of the United States, the public debt. Is this presumption factual or the valid concoction of misguided conspiracy theorists? Is it even remotely possible that the founders' descendants are captured as sureties for the escapades of their political officials? You know, it should be their servants. The answer will soon be clear. It will be found by exploring a series of legal maneuvers known as legalization, registration, certification, securitization, and general deposit, which comprise the essence of the Uniform Securitization Scheme, USS. The same scheme is used at every stage of the matrix, from the construction of the birth account to the reverse mortgage you sign on your deathbed. To understand the birth certificate scam is to understand loans, mortgages, purchases, deeds, and all other mirror image substitutions for good old-fashioned truth.
Let me just jump in for one thing. She's talking about the birth certificate scheme that we were talking about in the last thing. You really should pay attention to this part. Most of what you've heard from the beginning is just kind of an introduction. But what they're telling you how they securitize everything on your labor. If you didn't get that, when we went bankrupt in 1933, they had no way to back our currency. So they backed it with the labor of the American people. Now they run the country into debt. So now the American people owe that labor. Therefore, the American people have become indentured servants. This is how they did it. Go ahead, read more.
And this is how we can get out of it. The better you all understand what's happening, the better people, kind of be an each one teach one, and we keep, kind of like buffering each other, because this is very deep knowledge, and this is knowledge that we have not been brought up with. This is knowledge we've more or less been brought up to not know about. So in this process of knowing, it's really a type of renaissance, an awakening. We hope for a renaissance, not for a revolution. We feel the revolution has already happened. We don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Right. All we need to do is preserve our Constitution and our rights and say, wait a minute, you guys set up this scheme, and you guys pledged me, but I never pledged me. The name that you've put on that birth certificate in all capital letters to make a corporation in my name, that's not me. I'm a flesh and blood human being, one of we the people, a sovereign, and you employees have screwed up big time. You've violated the law, you've violated the Constitution, and we the people are going to hold you accountable. Go ahead.
Right, and I'm tired of you violating me, so here we go. Part 2, the pledge of future performance, security futures. Almost immediately, the blessed event of the delivery of an infant is marred by using its right foot to make an impression on a hospital birth record, HBR. The HBR provides public testimony of the baby's birth on the continent and status as an owner of the United States. Contrary to popular opinion, ownership is not control. In the legal system, ownership is defined as a pledge to act as surety for the debts incurred by the property. In the case of the United States, that doctrine is enshrined in Article 6 of the Constitution, which says, all debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this constitutional shall be as valid against the United States under the Constitution as under the Confederation. In other words, the act of registering the child with the United States federal corporation through a government-licensed hospital comprises the owner's pledge of future labor, the full faith and credit that underwrites all U.S. currency and public debt under the ancient doctrine that ownership equals liability. After all, who else but the owners would be motivated to pay the bills? For the sake of skeptical friends and family, here are the sound bites. Who else but the people of the United States stand behind the U.S. currency? Does the issuance of a U.S. hospital birth record signify one's responsibility to pay taxes and underwrite the public debt? So if the answer is yes,
According to
that
them,
means-
but not according to we the people. That this is a scam that they've run. They set it up saying, we own you, you're slaves, we're going to run up the bills and you're going to pay it. Well, I don't think so. I don't think that when the American people learn the truth, that they're going to stand for it. And we're bringing you the research that quite a few people have done. We've done this on our own and found this, but these people laid it out very, very well. Go ahead, back to
and
it.
they're a research group. They've been buffering this for years. Okay, part 3, opening an account. The HBR, right, hospital birth record, is delivered to the incorporated county for the purpose of transmitting the infant's pledge into the legal system. What happens when you transfer property? What must you do when you make a purchase on the internet? What's the first step in creating a commercial relationship with your doctor, bank, and phone company? They open an account in your name. As with any act, the incorporate county, as the receiving institution, must open an account and log it in. The county registrar opens an account in the county's books. As you will discover, the sole purpose of every account that has ever been opened in your name is to issue future securities. You are unaware of this because you are unaware of the definition of securities. Opening an account is a boilerplate event in the uniform securitization scam when any bank, court, corporation, or government institution seeks to assess the owner with a portion of the public debt and taps into your estate to pay the assessment. Part 4, reducing status to a number. As with any account, the county birth record is assigned a number, typically in the format 123-45-654321. The first number group identifies the corporate state, the second group identifies the year of delivery, and the third group identifies the transaction. This birth identification number will follow the infant throughout his life. The implications are well documented in Scripture. And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. 1 Chronicles 21:1. You may wish to read about the consequences of that event to the people of Israel. When we participate in a census for purposes other than to glorify the Lord, we can expect to be condemned. This is section 5. Recording a general deposit, relinquishing title. The registrar then records the HBR in an account as a general deposit, meaning the state takes title to the funds, your future labor, commercial energy. The same way a bank takes title to your deposits when you use the bank's endorsement stamp to print "Pay to the order of Acme Bank" on the back of a check before depositing it in your account. Haven't you ever wondered why checks are made payable to the bank instead of to your account? The pay to the order of notation is not just a material alteration under the Uniform Commercial Code, it creates a brand new security wherein the bank takes your funds for its own purposes and disguises the acquisition by issuing credits to your account. This one act is the mechanism by which the state steals the infant's divine right to her own labor and converts it to a numbered account to act as surety for its portion of the public debt owed to the banking cartels under the Constitution. The United States now holds the pledge of the minor child's future labor deposited voluntarily by the child's mother as the foundation for all the future securities it will attempt to issue in your name. Can you explain?
Jump in here.
Yeah,
Where they say voluntarily by the child's mother. The out on that for all the American people, they've done this scam, and they said your mother signed you over to them for surety. But in all legal contracts, fraud does away, has no standing. It voids the contract. And when they didn't tell your mother any of the facts, you can't sign a contract without knowing what it is you're signing. When your mother signed the birth certificate, she was never informed that she was turning you over for surety, to turning you over as a slave to the corporate United States of America to be controlled by the World Bank. Your mother was never told of that, therefore their contract is void. So I'll let her read on, but this is how they've been scamming everybody. When you know it, void their contract.
Right. So, whatever your position is about pot or whatever, whether you like us, whether you don't, just take a look at the facts and see if the reason our country isn't great is because we've been straying so far and we've gotten so corrupt of what the original intention is. Okay, this one act is the mechanism by which the state steals the infant's divine right to her own labor and converts it into a numbered account to act as surety for its portion of the public debt owed to the banking cartels under the Constitution. The United States now holds the pledge of the minor child's future labor deposited voluntarily by the child's mother as the foundation for all the future securities it will attempt to issue in your name. So how could it not be that there's no statute of limitations on fraud when the fraud is this deep? But once we understand what the fraud is, so is the remedy so close at hand. Okay, the HBR...
Let me jump in again. We're telling you how they enslaved you, and we're also telling you how to break free, break those chains, break that slavery. We're for a free America, and if you really listen to this and learn from this, you can break free, and the courts will have these commercial courts will have no jurisdiction over you. This commercial government will have no jurisdiction over you. We will once again be a sovereign people where we, the people, rule in America. But it's time for all you people out there to wake up, learn this stuff, and demand change.
Yeah, right.
Go
and
ahead.
Come to court and make them ashamed of not doing due process and equal protection, because clearly that's what's made this country great and every civilization great, is when everyone can participate. Okay, the hospital births record is then placed into a vault at City Hall or at the county seat or a subsidiary such as Vital Records. Those who are skeptical might wish to examine their own birth certificate alongside a stock or bond certificate and read the definition of securities in Section 78C of Title 15 of the United States Code, subparagraph A10. The Internet provides immediate access. Okay, Part 6, legalization of your public estate. Your estate here on earth consists of your inheritance from the Creator, your body, the air you breathe, your possessions, the fruits of your labor. However, as with your name, churches, money, law, and courts of record, U.S. Inc. intends to create a fictional mirror image counterpart of your estate in the public venue. This process is known as securitization. Oh, freedomfirstparty.net to learn more about it. And
Eventually, we'll put this up on freedomfirstparty.net. It's not up now, but because we've got so much stuff to put on, and it's a new site. But eventually, a lot of this stuff that we've been giving you, we're going to put up there with the sites that we've got it from, so you can read this and then go to the other sites and get even more. Because we're passing along research. We're not giving legal advice. We're passing along legal research. Read us a little more, but I don't know that we're going to be able to read all 14 pages of this.
well, maybe tell them to go to freedomfirstparty.net and we'll start to post it. This is about page 5 of 14 pages. Rather than race through it, let's just sort of savor it. Maybe you want to jump onto that topic too.
Okay, finish that one.
Okay. Every time you're, depositing your presumed security, future pledge into a public account for the creation of securities legalizes your labor into a public estate, capital E, a vast account which holds the pledge of your future labor as IOU to act as surety for your portion of the public debt. Every time your straw man is charged, the government is seeking to tap into your estate to pay the assessment.
Let me jump in again. The straw man, that's when they're talking about your name in all capital letters. They've created a phony you, and they're capitalizing off the phony you and holding you responsible. That's basically what they're saying here.
But until you understand this, you keep going into these cash register courts, ka-ching, 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 getting fleeced. So this is the way for sheep to become informed and move out of, sheep status.
Right.
Your estate is merely a trust which has been designated as insurance to underwrite the public debt and create profits and proceeds for public officials who seek to convert you from a member of the posterity they are sworn to serve into a subject that exists to provide them with commercial energy and position. It's outrageous, isn't it? Want me to read that sentence again?
The next one, and then we'll...
Okay, 7, certification. The registrar certifies the deposit of the pledge by issuing a certificate of live birth or a certificate of birth, so-called long form, which identifies the child, the parents, the date of birth, and the date of certification. This one act legalizes the pledge by converting the presumption of pledged labor into a security, Section 8, 102A4 of the Uniform Commercial Code defines a certified security as a security that is represented by a certificate. By issuing the certificate, the registrar is confessing that the hospital birth record is a certified security, is a certificated security. It doesn't say certified. And the county is the depository institution which has taken title to the funds. So they say they own you. Certification is the same process used by banks to launder your credit applications into an asset to be sold to investors. The BOA flowchart in Appendix B provides a graphic confession of the certification scam. Notice that the B of A Master Credit Card Trust 2 of the certificating subsidiary that certificates your credit card application. What is a credit card application? A pledge. It's your pledge, security future, to pay the line of credit that the bank creates when they approve your credit card application. Regarding general deposit and certification, the county and Bank of America are birds of a feather. Both seek to interpret your signature as pledge of future performance, a security future. The act of confiscating the hospital birth record legalizes the infant's pledge as a security future asset for posting as tangible funds in various public accounts, as you will see. This is the scheme by which the obligation to perform is transferred from public officials who are sworn to act as trustees of the public trust to the hapless legal citizen strawman created, as you will see later, to act as substitute trustee through the process of legalizing the infant's pledge into the public venue. It's pretty sickening, isn't it?
And That's page 5 of 14. We'll pick up from here next time. We're going to pick up, because this is long, we'll give you more, and it's quite a bit to digest. Actually, does this say here how they can find it themselves?
No, because you know why? That's why I'm saying I feel very honored that we've been sort of led into this Yahoo group, because they didn't want this to go everybody, but I think they know
No, they
that,
got it up
that
on
our
the internet.
audience is
They
good.
got it up on the internet to pull it up. That's where we pulled it up.
It's not a website here.
Paul knew what...
No,
yeah,
it
but
was sent to me in an email.
No.
Well,
This one was?
yeah.
Oh, she
Trust
might
me
be
on
right.
this one. Yeah.
I don't argue with Paula. She knocked out my teeth.
We've never had any arguments in our marriage. You want to tell people about that?
No, let's go on to this. We got some other really cool legal stuff that we've learned, and this is new to us, and I love it. Okay, you know, when you're supposed to go to court and the police officer is going to be there and the prosecutor is going to be there and the judge is going to be there, well, you know, these clowns that run all kinds of fictions and forgeries and illegal stuff on us. The judges do illegal stuff. The prosecutors do illegal stuff. Your lawyers do illegal stuff. And they got Congress and the politicians, because all those guys are lawyers too, to give them immunity. So a judge can violate the law and he's got immunity. A prosecutor can violate the law, and he's got immunity. The cop can get on the stand and lie about you, and he's got immunity. The only one in that courtroom who don't have immunity is you. So you're fucked. But we found this stuff. Boy, I'll tell you, this is wonderful. This paper here says, if you have a cop that wants to come to court about you, and is going to testify against you, you can hit him with this. Law enforcement officers' waiver of immunity. That's where you're telling the cop, in order to get on the stand, I want you to waive your immunity to prosecution because I want to be sure you're going to tell the truth. And if you don't tell the truth, I want to be able to hold you responsible for perjury. And very few police officers are going to sign this, so therefore it makes it tough on them. Read this here, and just use our local cop.
Kevin Richards?
Yeah, Kevin Richards.
Okay, this is to the United States District Court for the Northern District of New York. And we're really going for
But
the
you
District
can put it
Court
in
of...
whatever court you're going to.
Yeah, so this got to pretty high levels here. This is called, this is the United States of America plaintiff versus this guy, the alleged defendant.
In all capital letters.
Yeah.
This is another thing he did that I
Right.
love. First he said, the United States of America as plaintiff, which would be, or if you're going to the local court, you would say the Woodstock Town Court as plaintiff. And then
Any cash register court that wants
versus,
your money.
or the people of the state of New York versus, and then he put his name in all capital letters, and underneath that he put alleged defendant, but then he put something new that I've never seen before,
It makes sense.
versus, again, so he's got United States versus his name in all capital letters, and then he puts versus his name in, just like you sign it. And this particular guy put up money, so it said secured claimant party. But if I was doing it myself, I would put sovereign, flesh and blood sovereign human being, speaking in his own right, Sir Juris. I would put under my personal name. That's where you charge the first letter, capital letter, the rest small, like they taught you in school. Then the first letter of your last name, capital, and then small, like they taught you in school. This is a way of saying that all capital Joseph Barton is the alleged defendant, and it's a fictitious person, versus Joseph Barton, in the way I wrote it in school, as a sovereign human being. So now you've already differentiated between the guy that they're charged with the crime, because when they charge you with a crime, it's always in all capital letters. This stuff is great. I love it. And then it goes, law enforcement officers waiver of immunity. So what you're saying to him is, before you go to court against me, I want you to waive your immunity, so when you lie on the stand, because we know all the cops lie on the stand, I can hold you accountable and you don't have immunity. Now, only a fool would sign this. But if he refuses to sign it, you then can say, well, he wouldn't sign immunity that he's not going to lie, so obviously he's not a credible witness and I want him removed from the case. I love this. It's so simple. Read it.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to say in our case, you know, for the that horrible experience I had where I was dragged out of the car, I would say, I, Sergeant Kevin Richards, badge number, whatever it is, a law enforcement officer of the de facto pseudo, and you'd say what, Ulster County Sheriff's Department.
Right, Ulster County Sheriff's Department, because it's a corporation.
Yeah, we'll come and we'll find the corporate numbers and all.
We would also put corporate, if I was filming this out, I'd alter this a little bit, but it's beautiful.
Right, of the de facto United States of America and of the New York, well, he has here the New York State Police, Inc., but we would put against the Ulster County
The Sheriff's Department.
Of the
Ulster County, Inc.
Right, of the de facto state of New York, Inc., a corporation or a quasi-corporation, resident of the state of New York and the county of, well, in this case we'd say Ulster, and citizen of the United States, being of sound mind and fully aware of the pain and penalties of perjury, do now depose and state the following. I, Kevin Richards, having not filed formal verified complaint or other paperwork under the penalty of perjury against above named alleged defendant or claimant, and knowing that I, as officer of the court, have immunity, both civil and criminal, from prosecution for committing perjury under Briscoe versus this guy, and it gives the numbers.
Just spell
It's
it.
hard for me to read it. It's because it's tiny print. Briscoe versus, can you see that? LaHue.
Lahue, write this down, people. Briscoe
Briscoe
versus LAHUE 460 US 32576L ED 2D 69
96.
96.
46868.
No, 460
Oh, 460.
US
No, that's oh yeah, 460 US.
325 1983 in parentheses.
Right. Now, the reason we struggle through all of that is because if anything keeps declining in the internet with the search engines, you can't easily pull up these case sites.
That's why
And
we
if you
tell
don't have it correctly, then it's not going to
That's
fly.
why we try to tell you to write down these cases when we give them to you, because this stuff is such dynamite. Pretty soon they will take it off the internet and it'll be very hard to find.
I mean, that is unless we can start to reclaim the courts and our freedom so that
And we pass it around amongst ourselves.
and that we step up to the plate to say you are renting our right of way with the internet, and we reclaim that
anyway,
back.
finish
But
this.
so anyhow, then we. Okay.
While
testifying, entering any evidence or acting for benefit of government, I do hereby waive my immunity when filing any papers, evidence, or testimony for the United States of America, in all caps.
In this case, it would be
In the above-
Ulster County for us.
Right. In the above entitled case. But I think the point is that they're all derivatives of the United States
Right,
of
well, I would
America
add that, but
Corporation.
also and Ulster County.
Right. Respectfully submitted,
wait.
blah, blah, blah.
What we just said here is this officer is agreeing that he can be held prosecutable by signing this waiver. Now, no cop, but did you notice in here it says, I as officer of the court, have immunity both from civil and criminal, from prosecution for committing perjury? The police know that they can commit perjury and that they have immunity. The prosecutor is not going to prosecute them. So right here, this law, Briscoe versus LaHue, is where there's proof that they have said, now the police officers have more rights than you. They can go into court and lie about you, but if you lie, you can be held accountable and put in jail for perjury.
Right, and if what Joe is saying isn't true, then sign the document.
Right, and if they won't sign this, then you say, this officer intends to commit perjury because he won't sign the immunity. And I want the case thrown out because the officer obviously intends to lie. And then there's one, the same thing for the prosecutor, telling him that he should give immunity, that he should waive immunity if he's going to testify against you. And then there's one for the judge. Read the one for the judge. I love the one for the judge. Is this the judge?
They both seem kind of similar because they're
Here's
members
the
of the bar.
magistrate. No, magistrate. That's the one for the judge.
Okay.
I love it.
I magistrate. What do you want to say? Jordan or
Yeah, Michael Jordan.
or Williams or
Actually, let's go for
Which are
the
your
one out
favorite?
the one out in Saugerties. He's the biggest
Judge
criminal.
Lamb. Okay,
Judge Lamb in
signed an
Saugerties.
after the fact warrant.
What was his first name?
I can't remember now.
Anyway, Judge Lamb in Saugerties.
Did you get the idea?
We'll just
Okay.
say Judge Lamb in Saugerties.
Okay, I magistrate Lamb, bar number, officer of the United States District Court of the
Actually,
Northern.
Saugerties Court.
Okay, it's to be the Saugerties Court. A corporation or quasi-corporation resident of the state of New York and county of Ulster and citizen of the United States, being of sound mind and fully aware of the pain and penalties of perjury, do now depose and state the following. I, Judge Lamb, under penalty of perjury, having not received formal verified transcript or other paperwork against or on behalf of the above-named claimant or alleged defendant, and knowing that as an officer of the court have immunity, both civil and criminal, from prosecution from committing perjury under, again, Briscoe versus LaHue, 460 U.S. 325 76 L. E.D. 2nd, 96 460 U.S. 325 1983. While hearing, testifying, entering any evidence, or acting for benefit of the government or its actors, I do hereby waive my immunity when hearing my papers, evidence, transcripts, or testimony for the United States or State of New York in the above entitled case. Respectfully submitted this day, Judge Lamb. And that would be in Socrates and the notary public. So what you're saying is you're asking human beings to step forward out of these corporations and legal fictions and take moral responsibility for their actions. Otherwise, how can a legal fiction bring a sovereign flesh and blood human being to court? That's why we're always saying statutes don't apply to sovereigns.
And to give the judge this, if he gives up immunity, he's got to stay within constitutional framework, because if he steps out of that constitutional framework, he has given up immunity. You can put him in jail, and then none of them are going to they want to put you in jail, and it's okay to put you in jail, but they have immunity not to go to jail when they violate the law. What you're saying here is play on a fair playing field, fucker. You know? Sign this paper. If you won't sign this paper, then your whole thing is bogus and you have no case. And obviously, this is a frame-up. And if you won't sign to give up immunity and be on a fair playing field with we the people, then you are a criminal. And you've pointed and you've proven it. And you take that to the higher court.
I mean, this is so powerful, and to show you how important power is, and that's where we're saying, learn the law, learn the law. Knowledge is power, and the deeper your knowledge, the greater is your power. This could go flying all over the country and be the way out. How many cops are disgusted with what they're doing? And then to prove to their bosses, they're saying, what, you want me to give up, immunity and then ask me to lie? This is the proof. This is why we were not able to go into these courts and have the Constitution function. This is why we would answer paperwork and, ours wasn't answered.
Eventually we are going to put these up. These are powerful on our website, and all you people out there should download them. And whenever they bring you into court, you say, okay, if you want to play this game, you sign immunity that the police officer is going to testify, and if he lies on the stand, he can be held responsible. Very few police officers are going to get on the stand because they're all lying. They've been told to lie. The politicians have made them lie. They know that the prosecutors cover for them and the judges cover for them. The whole system is corrupt and criminal. And if you people want out, you got to stop being sheep and fight them. And we're giving you the research that is the tools and the power to fight these people. And we got 15 more minutes to do. You want to read something else? Read some of this.
Yeah, I'll move along on this.
All right, we'll go back to this other one.
Okay.
Until we go out.
Okay, this is Section 8, redeposit. The Secretary of the Treasury is notified of the pledge, presumably by the transmission of a certified copy of the pledge certificate or electronic record of the county deposit. And again, when they talk about electronic, we really need to understand the power of the First Amendment and exactly what it means to be renting the airwaves to these corporations who are supposed to be attending to our needs and protecting our rights, thereby beginning the uniform securitization scam. Create an account, make a general deposit certificate the asset, issue derivative securities as if they're tax-exempt original issues once again. The Secretary delegates open an account identified by the previously assigned birth certificate number for the sole purpose of leveraging, issuing securities against your estate. The infant's pledge represented by the certificate of live birth is deposited, again generally providing the funds against which future securities will be issued. Okay, in all caps. This is how the corporation taps into the estate to underwrite every security that it issues, every indictment, citation, bill, bond, charging instrument, complaint, summons, arrest warrant, promissory note, assessment, and mortgage. This is why the gurus have told you everything is prepaid. Under the UCC, the term for value is defined as a prepaid account. The birth account at Treasury is the prepaid account against which all such assets and your set-offs and acceptances for value will be drawn. The prepayment is the long-form certificate of live birth representing the security future pledge of future labor. This is the account that supplies the funds when you mark a bill, charge the same to John Henry Doe in all caps, 123-45-6789. That's the Social Security number. This is the elusive Treasury account prosecutors love to ridicule when prosecuting a patriot. For many patriots, this may be the first time you have understood what you've been writing in your acceptance. Without this understanding, how could you possibly hope to enforce them? The potential damage to themselves and the technology when thousands of people issue acceptances without adequate understanding of the processes and cheer each other on in a Yahoo group is self-evident. In other words, they were going to jail.
Did you finish that one chapter?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to read you something else that's on this. Remember I said if they sign this, that they put themselves on the same playing field as you. They can't lie. The police can't lie against you in court. The prosecutor can't make up stuff against you and tell lies, which they always do. And the judge has to act according to the law, and if he violates it, He's not immune, and he could go to jail. But listen to the bottom on this. After the notary, when the notary signs it, the notary is signing. Notice, the above-named officer of the Ulster County Sheriff's Department, Police Department, Inc., is required to sign and return within 10 days this waiver or before entering of any evidence or testimony or completion of transcripts. Otherwise, said officer, by presumption of law, shall be considered and adjudged as unreliable witness, agreeing to liability and damage caused by your failure to perform within the terms of your bond. Presentment for breach will result. So what you're saying here is if he won't sign it, he's in trouble. If he signs it, he's in trouble. If he won't sign it, he's in trouble. So when you get this paperwork, which we really want to get out to everybody, because everybody who's going to court gives these, the police officer, the prosecutor, and the judge, these paperwork, they have to give you a fair trial. I mean, if you've really done damage, let's say you went out and you were stupid and you stabbed somebody, well, then the evidence is there. There's a harmed party. That harmed party has a right to bring you to court, and if you've stabbed somebody, there's a good chance you deserve to be in jail.
There's nothing for them to lie about.
Right. But if you just drove a little fast and got a ticket, or if you were smoking some pot, or you had a little bit of drugs on you, or they got a million reasons where there's no victim to bring you into court, and they use lies and deception to bring you into court. They've made so many statutes that they can come in any one of your houses out there and find some crime that you've committed, because there's laws that you don't even know about. And if you had these papers, they can't use those bullshit laws against you. They can't use all this phony statutes. Statutes do not apply to we the people. They trick us into that all-capital name, which is a commercial entity. When they use that, when they trick you by coming into court in the all-capital letters, when they give you a summons, it's always in all-capital letters. When they give you a court paper to appear in court, your name is always in all-capital letters. When you say, I'm not that person, and I demand that you go by the Constitution, and unless you sign this paperwork to act in an honorable way,
the jig's up.
Right, the jig's up. They can't bring you
Game
in.
over.
Game over, right. This is great stuff here, you know? And this is thankful to my friend Paul, who I've given a lot of research to, and he's given me some research. And we'd like to say Constitution Man gives research. And, can we bring up that barefoot...
Barefootsworld.net, if we have that. Yeah.
Yeah. Write this down, people. Barefootsworld.net. Sui juris, right to travel. All the stuff we're fighting a court case on. Remember, I was driving with sovereign plates, and I had no license, no registration, no insurance, no nothing. You know, I don't owe the state to put all this stuff on my car. As a sovereign, I have a right to drive. And if you go to court and argue this, actually, it's not a right to drive. It's a right to travel, and you have to say automobile. If you say motor vehicle, it falls under one category of law. And so you have a right to travel in your automobile. If you're not for commercial, if you're driving as a taxi cab or a bus, well, then that's a commercial entity, and they have to be licensed.
Only because you're wearing out the roads. What they mean by commercial is the tolls and exactly what they're doing.
Right. You're using the road to make a profit. Therefore, they have a right to license you. And but you have a right to travel back in the day when we had a horse, everybody traveled on horse and it wasn't licensed. When we had a buckboard or a covered wagon, we had a right to travel, and it wasn't licensed. The right to travel falls under the Constitution, under liberty, life, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So under liberty, you have a right to travel freely. And the mode of travel in our day and age for we the people, sovereigns, is an automobile. So you travel by automobile and you're traveling, therefore they have no jurisdiction over you unless you get a license. If you sign it, you've been tricked and through fraud into signing a contract. So you can send that license back and say, oh, you've
Put up
committed fraud.
Marbletown.
You didn't tell me that I gave up a right for a privilege, and therefore I'm sending you back my license. I'm sending you back the license plates, and I no longer need to register my car with you, my automobile with you, not car, automobile with you. I'm asserting my right to travel.
2 minutes left. October 29th is the final date for Marbletown Court. I had made a mistake 2 different directions, but to October 29th, we had advertised September 29th, which is a Saturday. That's impossible. These cash register courts don't hold court on Saturday, generally speaking. But on October 29th, you can come and listen to Joe.
And Paula.
Well, I won't be. I wasn't on the driver's
right,
license deal. That's
was
you.
just
This
me.
is just the king.
Yeah.
Not the king.
Anyway,
Assert your sovereignty. You know.
I'm going to hit him with more paperwork, so that date may change because they moved it from Woodstock. The 2 judges didn't want to hear this case. Then it went to Kingston, and Kingston told the prosecutor to answer my paperwork, which he didn't as usual. And then they moved it to Marbletown, and then we were going to show up, and then they canceled it again. And we're going to sign off now, Joe.
No, we have a minute. It's a minute.
And you're going to run that thing, or
Oh,
we have 1 minute to go? All right. Anyway,
it's fun. Come to court. You know, don't be afraid and think, oh, you know, that now they think I'm not going to want a driver's license or whatever. We're winning, everybody, and we're winning because of public access, free speech, and we especially want to thank the
public
girls
access. And
in
you,
the booth. You know, Randy and
you
Felicia.
people should work to keep this public access station on the line. Next week, we're going to tell you we're going to run Dee Dee Halleck again, and we're going to tell you that $80,000 is allocated to this station, and they only spend $5,000 a year, and they're saying you, the taxpayers, don't want that money spent on this station. So therefore, we want you, the taxpayers, to call up Jeremy Wilbur and tell Jeremy Wilbur you want the $80,000 that should be in this station, because if you think, look at the shows you've been getting real truth here and real information that we couldn't give, that you wouldn't get this over any of the regular television shows.
We got to end.
Oh, we got to end.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
we're
what
ending.
that
Thank
means.
you.
Bye.
You've been watching Pot Talk with Joe Barton. Also starring Paula Gloria. Tune in for more Pot Talk next week at this time. What did it end up on the machine? It was over 58.
5809 now. And
Oh.
the fade was black.
Okay, so it just fit.
And